Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about my experience coding an app using ChatGPT the entire way. I have never coded before, don't know what any of that, Python, C++, don't know what all that is, never heard of it 2 months ago prior to this project. And I also didn't really know what AI was. I just knew the name AI and apparently that it was going to take all our jobs. And that's all I knew about AI. And prior to this experience, I actually have the app production build on Google Play development account that I have. It's just a test. It's not officially released yet, but I will tell you step by step all the mistakes I've made, what I learned, what made it take so long as a complete beginner, and what other complete beginners should look out for to shorten the time that it will take for you to do the same thing. And coders, I just want to say that I do not think your jobs are on the line. I think you are okay for now. Even though I kind of achieved what I wanted to achieve as a non-coder with AI, it definitely wasn't easy. And I had to really pay attention and I had to use my brain. But if you are someone who's getting into AI and who wants to create something coding, then it is possible because I did it and I will tell you how you can make it easier. First, I'm going to go through all that I got stuck at, and then I'm going to go through the steps I took and how I would go about it a second time around. First, I started off by chatting with ChatGPT about my idea and kind of validate my idea. Usually business people say validate your idea with actual people, but the average person don't really have actual people to validate their idea with, so you're just gonna have to go for it. ChatGPT said, yes, this is a good idea. Other apps do not have this function. My app gets a Korean sentence, breaks it down, explains it to you. My app has it where you enter the sentence and it makes a whole worksheet. And you can print it, you can save it, and have a whole little personal library. So you can learn Korean, but just a song or just a sentence. I have the translation quality connected to an N8N workflow that I made on my own. And I did that because I wanted to learn how to use these AI tools, these AI platforms. N8N is a quite popular one. GPT will tell you if it's useful, if there's something that already exists, or if you feel a gap in the market or not. I would say kind of know your market also, so you can kind of agree with it and validate it, because as a K-pop fan, I can kind of see the recommendations and it'll be like, it's not like this app because this app does this, and I can be like, oh yeah, I've used that app before, I know that is right, because ChatGPT can be accurate or the information could be outdated. But if you know that, you can be like, well, actually that's not true anymore, and then ChatGPT will be like, oh yes, you're right, this is actually it, and then it will get it right the second time around, but only after you call it out. If you're really trying to do something significant with it, you do have to kind of be paying attention, validate things if you want to be sure. You don't have to validate everything, but there are some things where you just got to be right. After you validate idea and get clarity if you want to move forward, then you're going to plan the design, then create a road map. For me, it automatically created a roadmap after I explained my idea and what I want, what my goals are, who my audience is, and my design. When it does things like that and breaks things down, you need to be taking notes. Note down the whole week roadmap. Create a project in ChatGPT. That way you can always refer back to it. Chats cannot go on forever. So when you get that roadmap, week 0 is going to be the first chat in the project. After week 0, you're going to say, I'm going to get a new chat for week 1. Can you summarize everything that we have discussed so I can give to a new chat and it is caught up on everything to complete week 1. So your next chat is just week 1, and your main chat that you just discussed your idea with, your design plan with, your theme with, and your roadmap with, it will summarize everything that you just went through and give it to you to paste into the new chat. That way you don't gotta scramble and be like, oh, we're doing this, it's this theme, it's this picture, it's this big, it's this wide. You don't gotta say all that. Just be like, hey, summarize everything we just talked about and completed in week 0 so I can give it to a new chat that is dedicated for week 1. After you complete week 1 in the new chat, you are gonna go back to chat 0. Week 1 will summarize it and you will give it back to week 0, the original plan maker. It will tell you if you went off topic or if you kind of did something unnecessary and maybe you shouldn't do that right now. It says chance to do things in a certain way to minimize bugs and errors. It will validate and check everything. It'll be like, okay, you did this. Yes, you kept it simple. That way we can integrate this in week 4. Yes, you made sure it didn't do this. Because as you are completing things, then it might go off plan and be like, hey, why don't we add some animations, add some loading, add some this? And you really don't need that right now. You're really just trying to get it out and do it simple and not be stuck at creating forever. So it's important to keep ChatGPT on track because it will keep suggesting you things down the line, and you got to be like, so we just completed step 1, aren't we on step 2? You have to keep it on track because it will go off track. And that's why I say every time with all your new chats, they're going to give you everything you need in step 1. And so when you get that, you're going to put that in your notes too. When you notice things are going a little bit off topic, you give it back the list and you be like, so we're at step 2. Have we completed everything for step 2, and are we moving on to step 3 now? Is it time to move on to step 3? And it will be like, oh yes, we can move on to step 3. Oh, or wait, we need to do this before we move on to step 3. And it will be something it didn't mention when it was saying all that extra stuff. So keep notes of every step by step that the chat will give you in every plan. After you complete week 1 and give it back to week 0, we'll make sure everything's on track. Then you get a summary from week 0 for week 2 to tell week 2 what to do, and you make a new chat for week 2. You are making new chats because the chats can go on forever, and you notice the chats are going on too long when they start to get slow. You are going to have to ask a whole lot of questions, and the chat is going to get unnecessarily long, so that's why you break it up into 1 week. If you keep everything in one chat, then it's going to be too long, and it's going to be too hard to summarize to a whole new chat. So this is how you keep it organized. I got stuck at organizing my files. You will have to have your files set up a certain way so the app runs right. My root folder was supposed to be here, and I didn't know how am I supposed to get my root folder there. Then next I got stuck looking for my SHA1 key, SHA1 key. It was somewhere on Google Console, Google Cloud, Firebase. I don't even know. Apparently all I had to do was scroll down a little more. So if you are a coder, you wouldn't have got stuck there. But as somebody who never knew Google Cloud Console was a thing until 2 months ago, who never knew Firebase Console was a thing until 2 months ago, never heard the word SH1 key until a month ago, then you will get stuck. You might get stuck. It took me like 3 days to find it. That's what happens when you are figuring this stuff out for your own. And that's why I say, coders, you aren't out of a job, because a lot of people will just stop after like 1 day of getting stuck. I got stuck at my NAN workflow integration. First, I had to get it to send out pure JSON to the app, and this probably took me 5 days or a week to try to figure out, and it just wasn't sending out pure JSON. What I ended up having to do was just change the prompt in my workflow. I couldn't use the workflow that I used back in my previous videos. I had to make a whole new workflow for the app. I realized that I just needed to adjust the prompt. ChatGPT can help you, but it can only help you so much. Like, it was telling me to do this and it wouldn't work, do this and it wouldn't work, to the point where I was like, okay, I have to figure it out. I put in an AI community, everybody, what's going on? Why isn't it sending out JSON? And somebody said, why don't you adjust the prompt? And ChatGPT did say that, and ChatGPT gave me a prompt, and I used the prompts it gave me, but they never worked. So I'm like, okay, ChatGPT might not be right, because like that is the case. ChatGPT might not be right unless you find like an underlying prompt, and it'd be like, oh yeah, that is right. Here's how you fix that. Then it'd be like, oh, why couldn't you just tell me that? It couldn't tell you that because you didn't know what the problem is, and they don't know what the problem is. So like, you got to find out what the problem is, because now nobody knows what the problem is. So when a person in the chat said that you just need to adjust the prompt, I was like, okay, so I guess I just need to focus on adjusting the prompt. So I just adjusted the prompt over and over again until I finally got it. And I was stuck on that for like a week. A coder probably would already know what to do and got it done in a day. My navigation bar wouldn't set up right. I just put a picture for reference, and it just wasn't showing up right. The only way I fixed that was to use Codex within VS Code. I thought just by getting code written by ChatGPT meant I was using Codex. I didn't know I had to manually call Codex in my terminal. I thought I was using Codex just by getting ChatGPT to write me code. You have to manually call Codex. This could have saved me a ton of time. So then I called Codex in the terminal. It fixed my navigation bar. It said they are horizontal and they need to be placed vertical. Do you want me to place them vertically in the code? After that, I was like, wow, I'm not paste to nothing else. Codex is about to do everything. That's another thing. A lot of people think ChatGPT can do it, but you will run into troubles and problems that you don't know, and ChatGPT don't know if you don't know. Like, if you can't say this is broken because the prompt isn't right, it can't really say much. It can say try this, and it could be off, or it just won't help, or you're probably just going in circles right now. ChatGPT can't know the problem if you don't know the problem, and if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know the problem. So why do I think that developers' jobs are safe right now and that they don't need to worry? It's because it takes an immense amount of effort and time to do this. I worked on this for at minimum 12 hours every single day for almost 2 months. The average person probably only got a couple hours after work, after school. If you count me, 12 hours a day, getting stuck for a week is like 5 times less than an average person who only has 2 hours a day. If they got stuck for a week, they're like stuck for 2 months. And eventually you just stop and lose motivation and be like, okay, I'm not a coder. What am I even doing? ChatGPT, you're making me use my brain. Like, this wasn't the deal. And so then they stop. So it's like, you can learn how to play guitar on YouTube, but a lot of people would still prefer to buy a class if they could. Somebody can edit their own YouTube videos, but they just don't like editing and they would rather pay someone to edit. At least right now with AI being where it is, a lot of people aren't going to do this because they might think my idea isn't even worth all this effort. What if nobody even wants my app? I'm not even going to waste my time, and I'm not even going to try to figure it out. It might be like, let me just pay somebody to do it. I'll just wait until I can pay somebody. That's why I think coders' jobs are safe for now, because it's like a lot of things you can figure out on your own, but a lot of people rather pay or just rather not do it. The technology may come to a point where it will be much easier, but there's still a lot of things you have to do. Like, ChatGPT can write the code, but you still got to set up the Firebase, set up the Google console, all these things if you want like a real functioning app. You have to really pay attention. Like, ChatGPT can fix the errors, but it's better if you are like reading the errors on the way, recognizing patterns, taking a look at the code and seeing the patterns in it and kind of the structure and how it works, and trying to understand as much as you can along the way is very useful. Because even for me, at some point, ChatGPT was making the code, but there would be like errors in it, because you can give it screenshots, and that's very helpful. You just screenshot it, hey, it says this, what does that mean? And it will fix it. But sometimes it gets to the point where I kept giving to it and it will fix it, but then I would put in the code and now there's an error somewhere else. So at this point, I was already along, and I had been trying to pay attention along on the way, that it got to the point where I just couldn't keep giving it to ChatGPT to fix the errors because a new one show up every time. So I just had to take a couple of hours to look at it myself and fix it according to what I learned during this process, which is great that I was able to learn enough to do that. But like I said, a lot of people just aren't willing to put in the time. So coders, I'd say y'all job is safe. However, not everybody has 10K to get someone to create a good idea. So it is good that this is a possibility, because without ChatGPT, I would not have been able to create the app that I created, and to actually have a working app idea of mine on my phone working like I intended, like I imagined. Like, this was not possible before. If you're willing to put in the work, the hours, the effort, then you can make your idea happen, at least enough to maybe get to the point where you can soon hire a team to make sure everything stays going smooth. But the possibility is here, and it's only getting more accessible. I did pay for ChatGPT Plus. I did pay for self-hosted NaN. Another thing to mention, my self-hosted NaN was recommended by ChatGPT because I did not know if I could do that. It recommended me all these things, and I went to Google the things that it recommended, and I Googled self-hosted NaN or some servers. I don't know what it is, but I Googled it and saw the options. I saw Hostinger as top options on most websites, and ChatGPT did not recommend me Hostinger. I think that's what it's called. And so I click it and I'm like, this is the top. Let me see. And it said self-host NaN, the only place that has the direct integration to self-host NaN. The only place, and ChatGPT didn't recommend it to me. I go back to ChatGPT. I'd be like, hey, this has NaN integration already built in. Can't I just use this? It says, yes, that is a great idea. That is the best bet for you. Why didn't you recommend it? Like, come on now. It was about to take maybe a week or more. And ChatGPT was just gonna let it happen. I just Googled the top 2 articles and it told me hosting. ChatGPT was about to send me back another week of struggling. Yeah, always validate your ChatGPT. I think it was just giving me the cheapest option. I'm gonna summarize it all for you right now. First, explain your idea to ChatGPT and validate it. Plan your design, plan your niche, get it all down. That way you don't have to explain along the way. Create a roadmap. It usually automatically does this when you say, I'm ready to create this. After you get the roadmap, week 0 to week 12 maybe, create a project. Multiple chats within the project. Each week have its own sub chat where you don't get to the point where a chat goes on too long and there's too much context that you don't even know where you got lost at or something. You can always get Code X within VS Code. They can check your whole code, make sure your files are organized. That is so easy because it can do that for you. Like, it will validate everything for you and you don't have to even touch the keys. It's doing it for you. It's writing the code for you. You just gotta confirm, yes, do that. And it will tell you what you're doing. And I think this is good because you want to learn on the way. You want to learn as much as you can. I like Codex because it tells you what it is doing. And so when you get stuck at something, you won't get stuck at it next time because you'll be like, oh, it did this with the files. It put the files this way. You do run out of Codex every month. You have limits, so try to use it sparingly. Upgrade to ChatGPT Plus. That's what I did to get the best quality. You will have to figure some things out, but I made it where my app is ready. I do want to get it on the App Store just because, but I'd say so far it is possible. I was able to figure out, then yes, you can figure it out. A lot of people who make these videos saying code with AI, code with ChatGPT are people with a coding background or already understand some coding. But for a lot of other people, likely never coded before, you have never heard of these terms that ChatGPT are going to tell you before. You're going to be figuring everything out on the way from scratch. So I hope what I tell you in this video helps. Or if you want any other details on this topic, if you want my full app to be released, if you have an Android phone and want to be a tester for my app, let me know. Follow me on Instagram, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.